Porn ruined my life. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. Now, the question is, did porn actually ruin my life? Did it actually do such a thing? Yes and no, because porn and sex has been such a prevalent part of my life since I was a young boy. And it's transformed into things. Now, I can't put it all on porn because everybody doesn't go through this or suffer through this, but everybody in some form suffers from ED or the misconceptions of what porn projects into the mind of men and women, into society, and the expectations of others. My name is Kyoko, and I'm a recovering porn and sex addict. So with that being said, let's dive right into my story. Click my link tree, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook. You can click my link tree. It'll say sex addiction, and that's an interview to where I talk about all the things that happened. And I don't go into great detail as I will, but I merely touch on the surface on the things that have happened to me and things that influenced this and enabled my addiction. I was 14 years old at the time. I was going through a lot of behavior issues. I was placed inside of a behavior school because I was expelled 6th and 7th grade for different reasons I won't get into. But I was just going through a lot of emotional trauma, bunch of grief. My grandmother just died when I was 8 years old. I was still processing that. I was just beginning to understand it because when I was 8, I didn't understand it. My oldest brother just died, and I found that out in 6th grade. I was bullied in 5th grade, and I made sure to not have that ever happen again to where I would be getting bullied. I was living in a poverty hood area. I was suffering from things in the household that I won't get into, but I was basically lashing out and blacking out basically into certain things to where I was acting out because I didn't know how to communicate. I was having emotional trauma, and I was placed into a behavior school after I was expelled in 7th grade. And I stayed there throughout the whole 8th grade year. And in this time, I won't say I was like this guy or this big shot, but there was a bunch of girls that were attracted to me there. And there was a girl, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but it was a very difficult name to pronounce. I do remember that. And she was very into me. And I was not into her in the same way because of the age difference. Because she was 12, I was 14. So even at that age, I felt like that was wrong, that she was so young and I viewed her in a different way than she viewed me. And she would always be excited to see me. Hey, how you doing? Or that's my husband, that's my boyfriend right there. And she would always try to come up and talk to me at lunch or every time I passed her classroom or everything like that. So, and we would ride on the van together in the morning and in the afternoon when we leave. There was a big van that if you lived in a certain area, you would get on this one van and the van would take all the kids and drop them off if you lived in a certain area, and then other kids would get on another van if they lived in another area, basically, right? With that, there was a moment where I was put into a position where she was forcing herself on me. There was a bunch of kids in the car. It was a girl. It was 4 of us in the backseat, a big van. Imagine a van that you go to travel on, right? With a bunch of people in the van, a bunch of kids. There's a girl to the window. There's this kid, little boy, about 13 years old, sitting next to her. And then there's me on the window and there's her right next to me. She moves to the side where the girl is, and there's a boy in between us. This is how bold she was. She was forcing herself on me by trying to kiss on me. Now, mind you, the van driver could have did something to stop it. I'm not saying I was raped or anything like that, but she did force herself on me. And I made clear, or I showed in my actions, that I was not interested because of the age difference. And the van driver didn't do anything while all this was happening. He was just driving and remained quiet. She jumped over the kid that was in between us, and she was forcing herself on me, grabbing me, pulled, my part out of my pants and put her mouth on it. In that moment, there was something that lit up about me, obviously, experiencing a form of sex for the first time. Now, I can imagine how traumatizing that could have been for the kid right there next to me, who she was like laying on top of just to get to me. And this was all true story. Every bit of this is true, and in my recollection, this is something that very impacted my life. So I remember every step of it, what was going on, every facial expression. I remember every word. It was just so surreal or unreal, you know, that this was happening. And I remember this. And in that moment, I came home. They were dropping me off at my house. She stopped. I put my thing back into, put my penis back into my pants. I buckled my pants back up. I zipped them up, and I went into the house. And in that moment, I discovered masturbation, but not the traditional sense. I discovered it by laying on the bed and grinding or gyrating on the bed, and then, you know, the release. So in that, there was a thing that formed because I was already discovering porn. Where I lived, there was a library right next to my house. So I would just walk to the library. I didn't have internet at the time. So I would just walk to the library and watch porn on the library computer, because at the time they didn't have those sites blocked. And once they began blocking them, you could still find porn on Daily Motion. And I would watch that on the library computer. And I would choose a specific computer to where if a person was walking up close to me, I could switch the computer screen to something else so they couldn't see. And then so the desk was behind me. Let's say I'm here, there's another computer here, and then there's a desk here behind this computer, and I would choose this computer because I could see this person coming. And then there was the main desk here, like a little bit of front, but to the side of my computer. And I would always choose that computer, and that formed that addiction. And then when that girl did that to me, it all went into something else, leading into watching porn at home, eventually getting internet, buying porn on the TV, and my mom finding out about it, you know, because I didn't understand any of the stuff. And all that stuff was like softcore porn on the TV and all that, where you could buy it for like $10, $20, $30 and shit like that. Not knowing I'm spending my mother's money. I'm just like, oh, you get this. Like, it was so weird for me, but it was, I don't know. It was just a very weird experience for me, you know. And it transformed into, I would do nothing else but watch porn. I wouldn't watch TV. I would just watch porn all day until my mom came home. It transformed into, I formed a porn addiction to where I would watch porn all day, watch porn while I ate, watch porn when I woke up, watch porn before my mom came home, sometimes even when my mom was home. And it was I didn't understand at the time how bad that was for me, because it would be very consistent throughout my teenage life, especially being that I didn't have any real relationships until a certain age, you know, and I didn't have any real friends, you know, that could take me out of it. I didn't really do or have anything that could take me out of it, because by the time I was in high school, I had dropped out in like 9th grade year because I didn't understand the work, because I was away from school, regular schooling. I was in this behavior school where I was isolated, and they would only teach very remedial stuff, you know, very stuff that you already knew, or it was very simple in eighth grade, because it was a behavior school and they just wanted you to get your act together. They didn't really care about the education. So in that time, I was, you know, very struggling with the work, and the teachers in high school, they didn't want to teach. To be like 100% honest with you, they didn't want to teach you. They spoke, they read from a book, they gave you papers, and then they said, do it. And then if you ask questions, they come over once or twice, then they would get annoyed. You got to do it yourself. And I'm the type of person to where anything I learn, whether it's a physical thing, like, you know, building something, making something, fixing something, whether it's, you know, learning something, like whether it's a history thing, or whether if it's something that I have to learn how to do with my hands or learn how to problem solve, at that age, I would always have to be shown and taught how to do it before I did. At least shown and taught 2-3 times and explained to me, and then I would get it. But teachers expect you to, okay, you should know this. Mind you, they didn't understand that I was away for a whole year, not learning anything from 8th grade that the other kids learned. And then also I was also struggling because I had every kid is different, because every kid learns in a different way. Not every kid just learns from listening to you or reading something and then processing it and be able to do it. Some kids require more effort, and a lot of teachers at my high school didn't want to put in the effort, in my opinion. So I ended up leaving school My mother was disappointed. I was being charged with truancy and all this type of thing like that. But in that time, I kept forming that porn addiction. So all this time I was off of school, I was forming this porn addiction, watching it all day, because I was doing nothing. And then, well, I did do something eventually, but I'm not going to get into all that. So that's a whole different video. But I just basically watched porn all day in my whole 9th grade year, right? So that's all I did. I didn't go back to school. I didn't do anything the rest of that 9th grade year. So I just, in that time, I would watch movies, watch TV, watch porn. Sometimes just watch porn every single day, not doing anything else, you know? And that's very damaging because I don't think people understand how damaging porn can be if you watch or consume too much of it. And to be frank with you, there's a lot of people that say porn is okay, that say it's healthy to masturbate and things like that. I read a book called Your Brain on Porn, and it really gave me validity to everything I was feeling like I have this issue. Like everybody's treating it like it's not an issue. It's like, oh, you just like sex a lot. Oh, you like porn a lot. That's cool. That's dope. But it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, it consumes my life and it's not okay. There's a lot of people. See, this is what porn does, right? Porn can make you feel like you're alone because you're not connecting with anybody else. You're connected to the screen. And here's what porn does for casual watchers. It creates expectations upon other people during sex. Like, oh, so you like this type of thing during sex, and then you try it in real life. Oh, women like this type of thing during sex because I watched it on porn. And then you try it, and then it's not like it seems. Or women have this expectations on men's size, and in real life, men are not like that because porn highlights all the good stuff or all the nasty stuff. Because what they do is they make you keep watching by bringing in the serotonin, activating the serotonin in your brain. So where this is one of the things I learned in the book, by the way, is that they activate the serotonin to where you keep watching, and then sometimes you even get into porn that you don't even like. You're not even attracted to this type of porn. You wouldn't even do this porn in real life, but because the other porn that you watch may not excite you anymore, may not spark that serotonin in your brain, and now you're looking for more extreme levels of porn. So now you might, instead of going man and woman porn, you might go woman porn, or you might go men porn, guy on guy. You might go transgender porn. You might go, even bondage porn or whatever else, and you might convince yourself that you like it. And here's what porn also does. Porn is one of the reasons why women and transgender women are viewed the way they are viewed today. Men look at transgender women the way they do because of porn, the fantasy of it. Oh, the serotonin in their brain. Oh, I want to try that. I want to do that. And then you'll see so many men afraid to actually be seen with a transgender woman or to date them, but they have no problem having sex with them or even filming it as long as they wear a mask. But there's a thing of they're fulfilling a fantasy for them. That's what they look at a lot of transgender women for. And the reason that is because of porn. That's what stems from it. There's also a attraction there that could be possible. There's also a curiosity there if you never watched transgender porn. There's also could be that there too. But a lot of it is because men see porn and they want to try something exotic or something that's a fantasy, but they don't want to actually date this person. They don't want to actually be seen with this person because of how society deems being seen with this person, right? And with women, men look at women as objects or, also fantasies. So when a man looks at a woman because of porn, he automatically looks at her, undressing her, looking at her for her hips, for her legs, for her, sometimes even her feet in porn, sometimes her butt, her breast, right? Her lips, her mouth. They look at these things, and this is what the attraction comes from. That's why so many men, they'll do or say anything to get to have sex. But once they have sex, it's like, okay, I got what I want. I fulfilled that fantasy. I don't have to fantasize about what it would be like to have sex with you anymore because now I did it. It creates not having real interactions with people. It creates looking at women as just an object, or you're just a vagina. You're just a sex object. And women are much, much more than that. They're the physical representations of God. Porn messed me up in a lot of ways, but I won't completely blame porn for this, because I also have my own issues, especially at that time where I had a lack of self-love. Now I completely love myself. So it's a whole different vibe and a whole different thing now. But at that time, I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. I was very suicidal. I had depression. I had extreme anxiety, where I was having anxiety attacks. I didn't want to live. I was trying to kill myself all the time. I felt like I was so alone. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends like most people did at my age. So I was struggling through a lot of things, you know? So I can't completely put everything on porn. Like, if I would have never watched porn, this would have never happened to me. No, it was a lot of me as well. So, and porn, you know, amplified all of my insecurities, all of my things that I had inside of me that I needed to work through. So in that time, I would get into relationships and I would ruin the relationships. And it got to a point where I said, I need to have an open relationship, because I needed to explore, you know, and I needed to, I felt like I couldn't be with just one person. Now I feel differently as far as can't be with one person. I still feel like you can be with more than one person, but now I feel that way for a different reason than when I felt it when I was a teenager. At the time, it was a selfish reason. It was a selfish reason of, I have this addiction and I need to get it out. Now, it's a whole different ballgame, in which I won't get into because that's a whole different topic. But I will say this. I ruined a lot of friendships because I would send unwanted pics and videos. I ruined a lot of relationships because I would have sex with other people, even if they were aware of it. They were aware of it, and some people were okay with it. But it still didn't okay it. It still didn't make everything fine and perfect and dandy. I was still struggling, and I knew it was an issue. I knew it was an issue, but I couldn't stop. I felt like this has become such a big part of my life that I can't stop. And it got to a point to where I have to go to a rehabilitation center. I have to go to a therapist. I have to talk about this. And I took it upon myself to do that, you know, upon my own will. And it helped me a lot. It helped me understand, talking to somebody, why I was doing the feelings I was feeling inside that was making me cling to this so much. And it really helped me a lot. And with porn, even though I came out of that and I got back right into porn and the whole thing again, and it was just, I understood more of why I was doing what I was doing, but it was still part of me to the point I couldn't let it go, because I felt like, who am I if I'm not doing this? Who am I if I'm not this person? What am I doing if I'm not doing this? What do I do with myself if I feel the emotions or the hormones come up? And it was simple. Communicate with my partner. Tell them, let them know, I want this right now, or I'm going to need this soon, or whatever. And communicating, if you're in a relationship and you're struggling with this, it's very important that you communicate with your partner, because they need to know every detail. I know it was kind of embarrassing for a lot of people. It was for me, especially, because a lot of people don't struggle with it. Or if they do, it's behind closed doors. Or if you struggle with it, you don't take it too seriously, because everybody just looks at it like, oh, it's just sex, or it's just porn. So talking about it is very important, especially when you suffer from what I suffered from, which was ED, erectile dysfunction. See, erectile dysfunction can come from watching a screen, watching porn so much that your penis is so familiar with your hand or whatever. See, erectile dysfunction can happen when See, erectile dysfunction can happen when you're looking at a screen, at porn so much, and your body is so familiar with getting aroused by the screen or by the images on the screen, that when it comes to real life, you're not aroused in the same way, because your body is not familiar with that, right? Or maybe you use your hand or use whatever you use to masturbate, and when your partner touches you, it's not the same sensation on your body, male or female. It doesn't have to be just male. Women suffer from ED as well. So as far as not getting aroused. Not actually like erectile, but as far as getting aroused, women suffer from it as well. So with screen and watching porn, it can also damage you being enough for your partner or being even aroused for your partner. It can look like, what's wrong with you? Why are you not getting up? Why are you not attracted to me? What's wrong? And then you have to go into it and explain and communicate to them like, okay, this is what's going on. And I feel at the time when I first was suffering from this, I thought it was, oh, I'm just low testosterone, maybe. Like I'm having low testosterone. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's why, because that can also be a example of ED. But understanding, reading Your Brain on Porn helped me understand all the things that can cause erectile dysfunction, all the things that have messed with my brain and my serotonin levels and has my view on certain things and certain people and all this type of thing. Your Brain on Porn is a very, very great book that if you watch a lot of porn or if you suffer from this at all, that you should read. I am extremely, truly sorry if I offended, hurt anyone in my past for sending unwanted things to you or flirting in some way that was not wanted, or if I didn't respect your boundaries in some way. It is very important to set boundaries on, I see you as this, I see you as this. It's not wrong to set boundaries. A lot of people feel like they're being rude by being honest. Nothing's wrong with setting a boundary and saying, especially if somebody's making clear that they're flirting with you or that they want you or that they want something, right? So, or they want something more. So it's very important to set boundaries and say, just so we're clear, I'm not okay with this. I want this from you. That's perfectly fine to set that boundary. And for me, I wish a lot of people would have set that boundary. And I wish I would have never just sent stuff unwanted. And the reason I would send stuff unwanted, because also it was that things with me, my lack of love for me and my understanding of me, which was, if I send this stuff to people, which is what why a lot of men do this, when they send unwanted pictures of their private areas or them doing whatever, right? It's because they think, if I send this to this person, that means they will want to have sex with me. If I send this to this person, that means they will want me or like me, right? Or want to talk to me. So after realizing that's not the case, even though there are some people out there that do like and enjoy that type of thing, after realizing that's not the case, I had to dive into myself deeper, heal a lot of things of myself, understand why I do the things I do, understand my past trauma, understand who I am in this present state. I'm giving up porn. It's the best thing for me to do. It's been a week now since I've watched it. It's the best thing for me to do because it will clear my mind and it will release a lot of how I view things, how I view people. It will release a lot of grief and hurt inside of me. And I tried this before and it was a great experiment and I went right back into it. But now it's like, I have to give it up because I've always felt like if I don't watch it, I'm missing out on something. I'm missing something. And now I know I'm not missing anything. Everything I have is right where I want it to be. And everything I will have is right in my grasp. All I have to do is reach out. And I don't need porn anymore. I don't need it. And if I do need it, if I do ever watch it again, it will be in a healthy way. But right now, I'm focused on not watching it at all, eliminating all things of porn out of my life. Because in the book, Your Brain on Porn, at the end of the book, they tell you ways that you can get rid of ED or your addiction to porn or to sex. And one of the ways was to stop watching it. And a lot of people gave their testimonies about how much it helped them to give it up, and they're 30 days clean, 60 days clean, 90 days clean, a year's clean, all this type of thing, and they haven't wanted to go back. They feel so much better. They feel so much more alive. And that's what I want. I don't want to feel dead. I don't want to feel like a zombie. I want to feel rejuvenated. I want to feel happy to be alive every single day. And I feel like that now. I'm so happy in my life. Where I am now, I have so much self-love that I didn't have before because I didn't understand what love was. I didn't know how to love myself. I thought I had to change myself to be okay with myself. And now I know that's not the case. I want to be able to communicate with my partner. I want to have sex with my partner whenever I want to and not be worried about, will I get up? Will it go the way it wants to go? Will it do what I want it to do, or will it do what it wants to do? I don't want to have to worry about that anymore. And I definitely don't want to spend my time spending money and wasting my hours on porn, because I have spent money on porn as well, which could also be, if you do that, that's another thing with porn addiction. When you have this porn addiction, you could also waste a lot of money. Especially, there is a lot of free porn on the internet, but there's also a lot of paid porn, and I've also did both. So I'm not saying that sex is bad or anything like that. I feel like there should be a great expression for sex. Sexuality and sensuality is a huge part of human nature and human experience. Me making this video is not me saying porn is bad, even though it sounds like I'm saying that. I'm saying it's not good for me. It may be good for you. You may not suffer from any of these things. So it may be good for you. And sex is not bad, of course not. Evolution happens through sex. Pleasure happens through sex. And I feel like sex should be expressed in any way that a person feels like they should express it. And I completely support sex workers. 2 of my exes are sex workers. So I completely support it. Just for me and my experience and my body and what I know is best for me, it's best that I give it up for now. Maybe I can return to it in a healthier state. Maybe not. Time will tell, but I just want to say that if you suffer from sex addiction, porn addiction, it's a real addiction. I just want to say that if you're suffering from any form of sex or porn addiction, that it's okay. I just want to say that if you're suffering from any sex or porn addiction, it's okay to speak up and say something and say that I have this issue, I have this problem. First, you need to address your issue with yourself and then your issue with porn or your issue with sex. You have to address these issues with yourself first before you address that. It's okay to speak up and say something. Don't let people make you believe that it's okay to be this way or to view women a certain way or to view sex a certain way or to have all these crazy expectations about sex or about women. Right? It's okay. Speak up, say something, get the help you need, even if it's in private. But you don't have to suffer from it. If you have any questions, you can always ask me on whatever it is. Whatever you have an issue with, whatever question you have about this topic, you can always ask me. And I'm always willing to engage and talk to people when it comes to this. Because it's such a serious thing, and I don't want people to feel like they're alone because it's such a personal thing that they don't want to speak out about it. That's why I'm using my truth to help people or to bring awareness to something, because there's so many women that hate men because of their views on women due to porn and other things. There's so many women that are feminists that have so much hatred towards men because they were raped by a man, because a man feels entitled to their body, or they were raped by a man because a man looks at a woman as a piece of meat. You don't have to be viewed that way anymore. Creation is beautiful. Sex is beautiful. Sex is love. Sex is pleasure. Sex can be whatever you want it to be, but too much of it can be damaging. Too much porn can be damaging. Never be afraid to speak up.